This is the Digital World Podcast, and today we're going to talk about CODIUS and how it's well and alive. So let's keep getting into it. Now, shout out to Mickey B. Fresh because he always has fire content and he's updating us on real, like the technicalities of what the XRP ledger has or brings, and also as well as the Flare networks and CODIUS. So he posted this. He said 2015/2016 CODIUS homepage is on the left hand side. Let's click on this. Okay, so on the left hand side we have the 2015/2016, and then on the right hand side, which I'll show in a minute, will be currently what it has on the website. And we see here that he's, highlighting JavaScript. CODIUS supports the language of that. It has built-in payments, so CODIUS applications can pay each other using a built-in micro payment system. I know that there's been talk about, well, can you pay for what you use as opposed to having like a monthly set payment structure? Like, for example, you pay like $10 a month on Netflix. So instead of just paying $10 a month for Netflix, you can just pay for what you use. So that's interesting. And here we see CODIUS is used by Ripple Labs for banking and enterprise regulations. And CODIUS can talk to anything connected to the internet. Now that was in 2015/2016. Now let's go to currently today. He says no code restrictions, write code in any programming language. CODIUS can be configured with a suitable environment. Okay, and it says built-in payments. CODIUS applications can pay each other using any currency, using Interledger. Okay, now here that's the difference, which he highlights. And now CODIUS can talk to anything connected to the internet. So CODIUS seems, it's a very mysterious thing and people think it's dead, but no, CODIUS is alive and well. Let's go to another tweet he posted. And here he says, okay, so it's the same thing. And he mentions how proprietary tech Flare was originally built on the Interledger protocol. Yes, so now he's talking about this exact thing that he posted about in his other tweet, but he's clarifying here. CODIUS is used by Ripple Labs for banking and enterprise regulations. Now he's saying CODIUS applications can pay each other using any currency using Interledger, and he's distinguishing here between maybe Flare has some connections with CODIUS, maybe, or how all these technologies have something to do with each other. That's interesting to see. I'll keep updated on this and let you know. But little by little, we're starting to get a clearer picture of what this is all about. Now I'm gonna post a video here, or not post. I'm gonna show a video of David Schwartz talking to Thinking Crypto, and thank you for Thinking Crypto for making this or doing this interview. And let's go ahead and see what he says.
Well, so the original idea behind CODIUS was to build a DeFi platform that did not have a native token that could accept payment with any token, where you were basically paying for entities to run smart contracts using any token at all. And the idea was that if you had an automated platform where you could do that, then the people who would be actually running the smart contracts would generally not even know what smart contracts they were running. They would be chosen randomly, and they would have no incentive to try to game the contract because the contract would be distributed. And we used some very clever cryptographic tricks to reduce the sort of pain point that you would have. So the pain point that you would have is like if you're writing a smart contract and you're actually paying for its execution, the more servers that run it, the more it's going to cost you if you're paying for their execution. But the fewer servers that run it, the more likely it is that someone might gain control of a small number of those, a small number of servers, but that's a large number of your servers, and that they could then, steal your funds because the keys would be distributed across those servers. And we came up with some very, very clever cryptography tricks using something called erasure coding that makes it much, much, much more difficult for someone to compromise the smart contract. And so that trade-off would not be as painful. So you could have a smart contract that paid for its own execution and could get the equivalent security of running on hundreds of servers without having to pay hundreds of servers to run it. I think we were kind of way ahead of our time with that idea. And I think that what everybody who's like tried to implement that has done is they've just put in their own native token. And part of that is because when you have your own native token, it does make some things easier. Like, for example, you can destroy it, you can create it, and that makes some of the economic modeling simpler. But also it's a way to monetize it. Like CODIUS, the way that you would monetize it would be by providing services to the ecosystem. There's no native token to monetize. And my thinking was that, like, if we were the company that built most of CODIUS, people would by default probably just use our services. Like, you need long-term data storage. Well, the one that like your toolkit uses by default is operated by Ripple. And so other people would run other services, and you might use multiple services, but there would be no reason for you not to use ours because, like, we would have a reputation that people would know about.
And that's very interesting. And we'll stay tuned for more, but this is a great interview. Now I want to show a few other videos in which he talks about PolySign and the Flare network. So let's see what he says about the Flare network.
The payment and account ideas from XRP. What Flare is doing is they're taking bits and pieces from many different blockchains, like Avalanche's consensus algorithm, and they're taking some of the payment and account ideas from XRP, and they're looking at some of the DeFi from Ethereum. They're trying to stitch that together. And what it's going to come down to is their judgment whether they build a Frankenstein's monster or something that solves real problems. And I think one of the big advantages that they have is that they have an idea of what the use cases they're going to be targeting are. And they're like present day DeFi use cases that have kind of proven themselves. So if they can build a system that's really useful for that, I think that's important. So these are use cases. Unlike NFTs, like with NFTs, people don't seem to care that much that they're decentralized or censorship resistant. Like if you look at the big projects, nobody even knows or cares what blockchain they're built on. Like, right? All we care about is that we get a great user experience. But in the DeFi space, where you're talking about manipulating money, it's completely different. Like the infrastructure matters and the fees matter. Like if you build a project on Ethereum, it's not just a matter of like, oh, people have to pay these high fees, but the fees are unpredictable. Like if I'm reliant on being able to submit a transaction to your project 3 months from now, I have no idea like how much that's going to cost. Right. And so they're very focused on those real world problems. I'm hopeful that they'll be able to build something that like provides great solutions. They're really smart. They've taken on a pretty broad challenge, but I mean they're a fantastic team.
Got it. And some folks that ask, what's the relationship between Ripple and Flare, or completely separate entities? Flare's doing their own thing, or are you guys helping build anything with them?
I mean, so we, before Ripple X, we had this thing called Spring with an X, and we invested in the Flare team, and we love what they're doing, but they're not. Just to be clear, like we don't tell them what to do, and they're not in some sense like committed to. I mean, they're committed to the XRP ledger from their own commitment, but we haven't like sworn them to loyalty in any way. Like they're going to build on the technologies that they think are best, and this is something that we discovered at Spring, which is like if we go to a company and we say we're going to invest in you, but you have.
And then the other one I want to show has to do with PolySign.
What's PolySign about? Any connection to Ripple and then plans to work together? Things along those lines?
Yeah, I'm an investor, an advisor, and a board member of PolySign, and it's annoying to me that I can't.
Oh, come on.
Talk about, but I will say that great things have been happening there, and even lately the pace has accelerated. One of the interesting things is like our primary focus, at least as we've been public about, is custody. It's like allowing people to hold cryptocurrency and do interesting things with it. And the amount of money that you can make in that field tends to go up or down with the value of cryptocurrency. Right. Because like if the total value of cryptocurrencies is low, then there's not much value in helping cryptocurrencies move around or allowing people to do interesting things with them. And so the bull market has been tremendously helpful to PolySign. It's helped us forge strategic alliances And unfortunately, it's super exciting, and it's just frustrating to me that I can't like tell you what's going on. But I will say, Arthur Brito put together an incredible team. The employees are amazing. People who just love cryptocurrency and just love exploring what's going on with algorithms. We're doing really cool things, and I wish I could tell you about it soon. As soon as I can, I'm going to call up everybody who's ever asked me, and I'm going to say I can talk now. But yeah, I can't yet. It's kind of annoying. Sorry.
No problem. Well,
So if I've learned anything, about this company Ripple and their token XRP, is that they've been developing all these sorts of features to help this ecosystem grow. And CODIUS, Flare Network, as well as XRP, the token, and the company Ripple, all these are basically, I feel, interwoven together. And like David Schwartz said, if we can create a product that's from us, there's no reason not to use what we have. For when he was talking about like CODIUS, for example. And so I think like when all this is clear and we have a full understanding of what it all does together, then we'll have a clear picture of what we own. But as of now, we're trying to pick up these scraps and pieces and create this clear image. And time will tell. I mean, PolySign seems to be very secretive, but what's coming out of there seems to be fascinating. It's a custody solution type institution. So, and it's high level. So we'll see what happens. I hope this episode has brought you some value. Like and subscribe. And know that CODIUS is well and alive. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.